My 11 years of loyalty vanished in exactly 6 seconds when my boss told me his daughter was taking my office. Charles did not even look up from his phone when he announced that his fresh graduate child Brittany needed my desk by Monday morning. I stood there holding a stack of billing files while my brain struggled to process the disrespect. They had no idea my silent work kept the entire system alive. I had given over a decade of my life to this company without a single day of unexcused absence or internal drama. My hands had built the back-end infrastructure and tied the loose digital strings together with custom programming that nobody else understood. Instead of fighting a losing battle against corporate nepotism, I quietly decided that I was finished. I packed my favorite chipped ceramic mug, my heavy notebook of system protocols, and a single black flash drive. A quick message to human resources stated that I would operate remotely during the physical office reorganization. On Monday morning, I opened social media from my kitchen table to see Brittany posing in my old chair with a sparkling caption. The emails started trickling into my inbox before noon as various departments noticed minor disruptions in the daily routine. People asked where specific vendor contracts were hidden, clear's throat, which were questions I normally resolved instantly. I deliberately ignored every single message because my goodwill had completely left the building the moment they replaced me. While the executives celebrated the natural leadership of Brittany, I began working on my own private escape plan. That little flash drive contained every custom script that kept the business functional during intense financial quarters. Sitting in my house, I officially applied for a business license under the name Apex Operations to prepare for my absolute independence. Tuesday morning arrived, and the essential executive weekly report failed to appear in the corporate inboxes for the first time in history. There was no color-coded data presentation or performance summary to guide the afternoon sales pitches, leaving only an uncomfortable silence. A manager from the finance team eventually messaged Brittany to ask for the files, and she simply replied with a positive emoji. They did not understand that the entire automated dashboard required my manual authorization codes. By mid-afternoon, the assistant of the executive director requested that I resend the master tracking links because Brittany could not locate them. They talked about my old folders as if I had simply misplaced a document, rather than withdrawing the encrypted security keys that I updated bi-weekly. I watched the frantic messages pile up while I built a clean client questionnaire for my new consulting firm. The corporate office was slowly learning what happens when the foundation disappears. The supply chain supervisor flagged a critical problem when an automated contract renewal failed to launch with our primary packaging provider. That specific transaction required my personal evaluation of monthly profit margins, which were all detailed inside the private notebook on my counter. The external vendor flatly refused to negotiate with anyone else and demanded that the managers contact me directly. I let the forwarded emails pile up while I calculated the premium pricing for my independent services. By Thursday, a major logistics partner sent an urgent message demanding that I personally verify a manual override sequence. The project managers immediately pushed the task to Brittany, who confidently promised to handle the issue while using meaningless corporate hashtags. The client quickly realized something was terribly wrong inside the company. Instead of trusting the official communication, they discreetly added my personal email address to the conversation so I could stay informed about what was happening behind the scenes. People who have spent years in this industry can always recognize the warning signs before everything falls apart. They know exactly when an organization reaches the point where every hidden weakness begins surfacing at once. While departments struggled to keep basic operations functioning, Charles gathered everyone for a mandatory company-wide live stream. Rather than addressing the growing crisis, he delivered another polished presentation filled with grand promises about digital transformation, visionary leadership, and the exciting future of the organization. Brittany proudly stood beside him throughout the broadcast, smiling confidently while he repeated expensive corporate buzzwords that sounded impressive but solved absolutely nothing. The employees watching knew those speeches could not repair the chaos unfolding around them. To make matters even stranger, Brittany confidently told several coworkers that I was still helping guide her remotely and that she had everything under control. I simply smiled when I heard about it. Instead of paying attention to the drama inside my former workplace, I updated my professional profile to announce that I had officially launched my independent consulting practice. Only a few days later, the first major crisis exploded. An important supplier in Europe suspended a valuable shipment because the required customs documentation had never been finalized. The situation could have been avoided completely. Brittany had previously disabled the automated notification system I built because she complained the constant reminders created unnecessary stress and anxiety. Without those alerts, nobody remembered the critical deadlines. The shipment remained stranded inside an overseas warehouse while executives scrambled to understand what had happened. The vice president of procurement repeatedly contacted Charles looking for answers, but nobody could explain the delay. My phone never rang. They still convinced themselves the disruption was nothing more than a temporary technical issue that would somehow resolve itself. The following Monday proved how mistaken they were. A formal government complaint compliance notice arrived in the company's primary inbox. Their most profitable client immediately threatened to suspend every service agreement after discovering missing security timestamps and incomplete verification records. That exact compliance procedure had always been my responsibility. For 8 consecutive years, without missing a single week, I personally completed those reviews every Tuesday and Friday at 6 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't glamorous work, but it protected the company from precisely this type of disaster. Brittany attempted to reassure the client with vague promises that everything would soon be corrected. The response achieved the opposite effect. Instead of accepting her explanation, the client immediately issued formal instructions, ordering all processing activities to stop until every compliance issue had been resolved. Not long afterward, my phone finally rang. Charles's name appeared across the screen. When I answered, the confident executive voice I had known for years had disappeared completely. In its place was someone who sounded nervous, exhausted, and genuinely frightened. He carefully explained that they were experiencing what he described as a small technical problem involving the company portal and asked whether I could log in for 5 minutes to correct it. I calmly replied that I wasn't available. Silence followed. The pause lasted long enough for both of us to understand the situation had become much larger than either of us wanted to admit. Finally, Charles cleared his throat and awkwardly asked whether I could send him my standard consulting rate so they could solve the issue as quickly as possible. I informed him that I no longer accepted hourly work. Every engagement required a non-refundable 3-month consulting agreement before I would begin any project. He quietly muttered that he would contact me again later before ending the call without allowing me to explain the complete proposal. Even then, he still believed the company could somehow survive the crisis without fully investing in the expertise they had already discarded. The next morning brought another unexpected message. Human Resources emailed me asking when I planned to return so they could prepare my office and workspace. I answered with only one sentence: "My office already belongs to someone else." Then I archived the email chain and moved on. Meanwhile, the situation inside the company continued getting worse. Brittany missed 3 major project deadlines, one after another. The failures eventually pushed the organization's oldest strategic partner to terminate a 12-year business relationship that had generated significant revenue for both sides. The atmosphere throughout the company became tense and uncomfortable. Employees spoke quietly in hallways, while uncertainty spread through every department. During the weekly operations meeting, Brittany completely lost control. Frustrated and overwhelmed, she shouted that nobody had provided the documentation she needed. She slammed her notebook across the conference table before breaking down in tears, while everyone else sat frozen in complete silence. Soon afterward, the finance director informed Charles that the accounting system contained dozens of unmatched invoices that could no longer be ignored. The deeper they investigated, the more serious the problems became. Charles then began sending me one text message after another. Each message contained increasingly attractive offers, including a larger office and improved benefits if I agreed to return. I blocked his number. Instead of looking backward, I focused on signing my first independent client, who happened to be a trusted business partner from my previous career. That same afternoon, Charles unexpectedly arrived at my front door. He looked nothing like the polished executive I remembered. His jacket was wrinkled and stained, his expression exhausted, and his eyes revealed weeks of relentless stress. After stepping inside, he admitted the truth. Brittany had never been prepared to handle the responsibilities she had inherited. Multiple important clients had already left, and the company's position continued deteriorating with every passing day. Then he asked me directly to return. Without saying a word, I handed him a white presentation binder containing the premium consulting packages offered by Apex Operations. He carefully reviewed each page. When he reached the pricing section, he quietly admitted the company simply couldn't afford the investment. I looked directly at him and replied calmly, "The truth is, you couldn't afford to lose me either." He slowly closed the binder, thanked me quietly, and walked back toward his luxury vehicle, looking completely defeated. Only 1 week later, executives announced an immediate corporate restructuring plan that included widespread layoffs. 14 experienced employees lost their positions as leadership desperately tried to reduce financial losses and stabilize the business. At the very same time, 2 of the company's largest former clients signed exclusive long-term agreements with my consulting firm. I never celebrated publicly or boasted online. I was far too busy building a successful business of my own. The following day, Brittany's profile quietly disappeared from the company website. Her office remained dark, locked, and completely empty. As for me, I opened my computer one final time, permanently deleted my old corporate account, and erased the last digital connection to my former employer. I never submitted a dramatic resignation letter. I never carried a cardboard box through the office doors. My silence became the strongest message I could have delivered. They were left sorting through the consequences of their own decisions, while I moved forward building a future that belonged entirely to me, one that no executive, no title, and no act of arrogance could ever take away.